So, Darine, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing?
Man, I'm fantastic.
You're fantastic. I'm blessed. Very excited. Holidays are around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
About to go into the weekend, and then yeah, for me, I'm on vacation now.
Oh, lucky you.
Yeah. I'm gonna go back to my parents' house in Sarnia. I don't know if you know where Sarnia is, Doreen. Do you know where that is?
No.
Southwestern Ontario, like past London a little bit. It's a small town with 100K people. It's really
Okay.
nice. Yeah, border with the states, with
I'm sure
Michigan.
it's nice. You know what? I have never been that far, so I'm sure it's
Yeah,
beautiful.
it
Yeah, you're,
is.
you're originally from Paris?
So from France, not from
Okay,
Paris, but from France, yes.
from France.
Mhm.
Awesome. So, I would love to hear your origin story because you're originally from France and migrated to the US and ended up at the White House. Could you give us like a quick 2 to 3 minute, story of how that happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like to introduce myself as a living proof that when you believe in yourself, you are unstoppable. I was born and raised in the poorest city of France. I was raised by a single mom. Growing up, I had 3 meals a day. My mom didn't. So it was kind of challenging, but I always knew, this inner voice, I always knew that I was meant to be something bigger. I could create something bigger for myself, for my life, for my family. And so I went to school, went to university. My parents did even go to high school. They stopped in, elementary school. So it was something, I was the first of many things in my family. And then I moved to Canada. I was ready to build my Canadian dreams, left everything behind and working, believing in myself, networking, very important, especially for immigrants out there who are listening or watching your shows.
Mhm.
When we come to North America, we hear about networking, but we don't know what it is about and how to do it. And then I understood at some point, I had a haha moment that I had to be strategic about the relationships that I build with people. And so from, one thing to another, I started a blog, Easy Poly Consulting, that does not longer exist. And I wanted to share, more. I wanted to discuss and share, my passion about politics, women in politics and leadership. And this is how I got selected as one of the 100 young global leaders and entrepreneurs for a program at the White House. And from there, among the 100 people, one person got a job offer. It was me. And this is how I ended up working for one of Barack Obama's advisors.
Wow.
Wow. Congrats on that. How was that experience like being one of the advisors? How did you feel when you first found out that you were chosen, and what was your experience like?
So actually, it's like I knew my time has come. So everything that I was doing since I was very young, a little girl, when this guy came to me and said, listen, I like this and this and that, and I want you on my team, I was like, this is it. The time has come for me.
Mhm.
Finally, it took me 10 years.
Mhm.
It was 10 years in the making. But yeah, it was a relief that all the sacrifices that I had made finally were not in vain.
Yeah. You talk about having the feeling of greatness within you as
Yeah,
you're coming up. I'm sure all of us have had this feeling is you're destined for great things. When
yeah.
you were like thinking back then as as a young woman, what were the thoughts that you were having? Were they aligned with business? Were they in politics? Which lane did you see yourself going into when you were closing your eyes at night and you're thinking big things? What was that imagination like?
I always thought that I would have a career in politics.
Mhm.
I didn't know I would have a career in business, but life happens. But
Mhm.
from a very young age, when my girlfriends would go out, have fun, or they were starting dating boyfriends, I would just go home and watch political debates. So I was kind of the weirdo, growing
Yeah.
up, but I knew I believed in it, and I didn't know what it was. So I didn't have a clear vision, but I knew that something was meant to happen to me.
Mhm.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And like in the White House, what were your day-to-day roles that you were doing?
So I wasn't working inside the White House, right? Because basically very few people, have access to it. So I was working with one of the advisors working there. So, but my job, actually, my role was mainly to focus on building relationships and facilitating, business and political relationships between the US and West Africa. So actually, I was based in West Africa.
Wow. What country?
Senegal.
Amazing. And you were recently out there, right? In this year, right?
Yeah, so I was on a business trip back to Senegal. It's a country that is very close to my heart. I like being there. So I was there, like exploring potential business opportunities, expansion. And then, so it was in February, and right there, like COVID-19 happened. So I had planned to stay there for 6 weeks, and I ended up staying there for 7 months.
Wow.
7 months. Imagine, like, Alex, that's like us going to, I mean, I grew up in Africa, so I've been all over, so I know how it's like, but imagine just going to another country and then being trapped in there when you weren't even expecting it.
That was something, because I had packed for a couple of weeks. So it was a business trip. So I didn't pack a lot with me, as I would eventually pack if I were going on vacation. So it was really business oriented. And then I find myself in a place where I had to reinvent myself and to basically build a new life, because I couldn't stay there, just wait for something to happen. The borders were closed, the airports were closed. I couldn't come back to Canada. I couldn't take care of my business here. So I had to reinvent myself. And, I do believe that when you have your back against the wall, this is when you discover how, how strong or how powerful, or, how resourceful you can be.
Most definitely. So what did you end up doing? Break it down for us.
Yeah, so basically, while I was there, my business in Canada collapsed. And there was nothing that I could do from there. So I was like, okay, you know what? This is happening in Canada. I can't control this. So let's focus on what I can do, what I can control right now. And I was kind of on a survival mode, because I didn't plan on staying there, even though I knew Senegal before, but I didn't plan to stay there. So I had to find a location. I had to find, somewhere to stay, and build new habits. And I decided to build a new business there. So I was, okay, while I cannot take care of my business in Canada, let's try to build up something here, since I will be around for a couple of months. And that's what I did.
Before talking about like your business you created in Senegal, what was that business here in Toronto?
So the Smart Woman Enterprises actually is a coaching business when I work with women leaders on helping them to promote themselves effectively through networking strategy and branding strategies. So that's a topic that is close to my heart. I spent the past 10 years of my life and of my career working with women all over the world. I worked in 10 different countries, always building programs for women's capacity building. And I decided that it was enough. I had gathered enough experience and working with high level politicians and businessmen back in time when I was in Senegal. I was like, okay, I understood why we women, we were left behind in so many ways. So I decided to gather all this knowledge and to start a business so I could share as much as I can to empower other women leaders out there. So it was a coaching business. My business model was really based on in-person trainings. I love people. I'm a people's person. So everything that I would do, I would meet people. So I would host conferences. I would host conferences, workshops, and so on and so on. And that I was doing good. I was doing very good.
You're crushing it. I mean, I saw your posts everywhere on LinkedIn. People talking about it. You're thriving. I will give you that for sure.
Thank you. Thank you. There is a lot of work and effort behind, but there is also, and most importantly, strategy. That's where my main focus is when I work with women leaders, is that we are good collaborators, we are good at building relationships, but we are not good enough when it comes to building a plan and building strategies around what we want to achieve, like in a professional or business world. So this, I practice what I preach. This is it. I practice what I preach. So everything that I do, there is a strong strategy behind. And my goal is like, listen, watch me. If it works for me, if I can do it, you can do it too.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And let's get into like the business of having a coaching business, or like the business model and like the inputs and outputs. So I'm guessing the business model is like more of a one-on-one coaching. And did you find yourself charging more for like the strategy behind it? Was it on the like person to person, or were you charging a corporation for the coaching? How did you like price yourself?
So I do a mix of both,
Okay.
B2C and B2B.
Okay.
I think it's important, to be able to diversify your source of revenue, especially when you are a new entrepreneur, whatever the industry you're in. If I wanted to focus only on B2C, that would have been difficult for me when I started out, because, you got to build the momentum, you got to spread the word out. And then, it takes about 70 times for people to interact with your content before they make a purchase decision. So while you are building this momentum, you need to generate some money, right? So that's where the B2B actually come together, where you can just like pitch companies, sign up contract, and generate some revenue while you are building your momentum and while you're building your brand, basically.
That's that's so true. And like going to approach a company versus going to approach a person, how would you price yourself in that manner? Because a lot of times, of course, you price yourself more, but how do you quantify it usually? Is there a metric that you would use? That's one thing that I'm finding myself with the agency. I'm trying to figure out exactly how to price, even with us as well. When we're coming to brand deals as well, we're like, all right, so how are we going to price ourselves versus for a corporation versus a smaller business? I'm curious to hear what your answer is there.
So first of all, my process actually, I started by making a lot of mistakes. I was pricing myself way, way too low, in a sense that it was not sustainable. But it's hard to put a price on your expertise. It's hard to put a price on your service. So then I surrounded myself with mentors, with business leaders who are like 10 years ahead of me and who provided me tips and so on, and how to do it. And actually, I think like being an entrepreneur and pricing yourself and mastering your business and implementing processes is an ongoing process. So I don't have a magic formula, but to give you an example and to be honest with you, I have started this month working with a business coach to help me price better my services. So it's still something that I'm working on. And every time I raise the bar a little bit higher, I realize that, okay, so people are buying, and, but I also notice that I'm attracting a different type of crowd. So my audience is evolving as I'm increasing my pricing. So that's something that I have noticed for myself. And also something that is important when pricing yourself is you want to be consistent with your branding, with what you do and the service you provide, in a sense that I target women leaders, right? And the image and the brand that I have built around myself and my business is polished, is, professional, it's high end. So I cannot position myself as a coach for women leaders and then price my services or product $19. It wouldn't make sense. And, people would like have doubt about the quality of the services that I can provide them.
Yeah, that's a fact. There's definitely a price quality mindset when it comes to pricing stuff for a coaching business. I completely agree. That's great, man. So now that business, essentially crumbles because of COVID-19, and you're forced to reinvent yourself in Senegal. So let's talk about it. What was the reinvention? And even outside of business, I'm curious to see like how'd you maneuver from being a traveler to being a person, like a resident.
Yeah.
and operating as a resident, like, keeping on business. Did you start paying tax there, and did you start do you have to register your business in Senegal? And what's the difference between registering internationally versus registering in Canada? Like, I'd love to get more details there as well.
So actually, and thank you for this question, because there is a lot of myth around, doing business in Africa. So actually, a lot of countries now, African countries, have put together systems, that allows you to register a business quickly, and the way you would register a business in Canada, basically. So the process was fast. You go, you present your document, you register, you pay, and that's it. You have your documents. So it's quite fast. It's quite easy to open a business. Then it was a matter of finding the business idea, establishing myself on a new market, a foreigner that is here who want to do something, And the thing is, in Africa, what I like a lot about Africa is that there are a lot of opportunities over there. If you are smart and if you know how to surround yourself with the right people, this is very important everywhere. But this is even more important in Africa, to surround yourself with the right people. There is no limit to what you can achieve. So basically, when you are an entrepreneur at heart, the process is the same. Wherever you are in the world, I do believe the process is the same, because you got to register a business, you walk on the street, you have an idea, you identify your need, and you build the solution to answer that need. That's it.
Facts. At the end of the day, if you put someone in the jungle, they'll come back with a cape, with fur on. At the end of the day, if you have to create a business from scratch, an entrepreneur can do it. That's interesting. So what was the business? What did you create? And like, how'd you build it? Because you said you had to network, of course, like crazy in Senegal. And well, I think you mentioned it briefly to us in a past conversation, that I think it was in makeup, was it?
So what happened? Yeah, it's in cosmetics. So what happened, because I had packed for 6 weeks, I find myself quickly out of any kind of cosmetic products, right? And so I was surprised, actually, when looking for cosmetic products, to see how expensive it was. So any products, makeup products, or any kind of cosmetics that we would buy to Sephora, we would buy like 30% more expensive over there. And I was like, okay, it's way too expensive, and I don't want to pay that much money for something that I know the value, right? But then, as an entrepreneur, what I saw there is like, okay, but if myself, I face the situation, it means that a lot of young women, a lot of women still from Senegal or from West Africa face the same challenges when it comes to, having access to good quality products at an affordable price. So I was like, what, let's start something. So I started, like buying products from different suppliers outside of Africa, and to import these products in Africa. So basically, it was an import-export business, but I would sell the goods in Senegal.
Amazing. So was it challenging importing into Senegal? Like, how successful did the business get as well? Like, when you were in there, getting packages in? Like, could you break it down?
Actually, it was quite simple. Yes, it was quite simple, because once again, I surrounded myself with the right people. So I was surrounded by business professionals, business leaders, and people, who were doing business and import-export business for years. So they know who is the right person to contact to ensure that your goods don't stay like forever at customs, that you don't have to pay over and over and over so many times, to finally get your goods cleared. So because I knew the right people, the process was quite easy, honestly.
That's amazing. So when exactly did you, like, I know you said you're in survival mode. At what point did you feel like, okay, whew, I can breathe now? You know, did you reach that moment in Senegal, or was it once you came back? Like, at what moment was your business doing so well to a point where you could actually breathe?
Honestly, this moment took place this morning, and I cried.
Wow.
I'm telling you. I was talking to a business coach, and I was talking, and he was able to feel and to see that I had accumulated so much emotion, so much feeling, so much. I'm just on it. I have reached the point where I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted physically, emotionally, mentally. But because for 1 year, so COVID has impacted all of us. But I was so much into it, into a survival mode. And when you are into this mode, you just keep going. That's what matters. You want to keep going, building, because you want to get out of the situation. But it took place this morning. So yeah. And I
Wow.
feel good about it. Honestly, I'm just now starting to realize how much I have accumulated over the past few months. And I believe that's something that a lot of business leaders, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs are going through, is that we do ignore the signs that our body is giving us. That you're tired. I had migraines. I couldn't quit. I couldn't get up, leave the bed, but still I would find my way to open the computer and make some, work. And yeah, I was just ignoring the signs. And this morning, talking to people, and also as an entrepreneur, oftentimes we are isolated, and the COVID-19, I do believe, has accentuated this isolation for us entrepreneurs. So we are so into it that we don't realize that we need to talk to someone. And that's exactly what happened to me.
Wow.
Wow. It's great. I was just fixing up my audio, Darine, as you're talking, and I just got back in right now. But that's actually one of the reasons we actually started the podcast, is to highlight the ups and downs, actually highlight the downs of entrepreneurship. I think we get lost in the glitz and glamour of what it's like to be running your own business and looking as if you're successful, that we actually forget to talk about the true things, about the dark side of entrepreneurship. Like, you're not winning every single day.
You're don't.
Not, yeah. It's like out of every win, you've had 99 falls towards getting to that one win. And
yeah, but that one win,
mm-hmm.
I think being an entrepreneur is not about willing, it's about fulfillment. And because if it's not about fulfillment, I think you have to be crazy to be an entrepreneur, because there is nothing glamorous about being an entrepreneur. It's hard every single day. 99% of the time, as you said, it's hard. You are at the bottom of your life. Sometimes you ask yourself, why am I doing this to myself? But when you have a strong why, and when you are passionate about what you do, then this 1%, this one win is so fulfilling that you just forget about all the rest. At least that's my experience. But it's hard. It's not for everyone.
Yeah,
not at all.
Definitely
not at all.
Not for everybody.
Yeah. Like, I was thinking actually about that. I was I've been in my own world now, and the not peace, but the leniency of knowing that you're going to get another check, the false reality of thinking you're going to get another check at the end of the week, is something that can be it's not a crutch, but it's something that can make your life feel a lot more easy, once you realize that that's coming in, and without it, it charges you up like nothing I've ever experienced. But there's a feeling of calm that comes with it that not a lot of people can live without, and I understand it. I now that I've experienced both sides of it, I'm like, I get it. It's a lot harder, but it's just a lot more freeing.
Yeah.
So you really have to be able to balance your emotions throughout it, because you can get a lot of things like imposter syndrome. You can get
you do
a lot of imposter syndrome, because as an entrepreneur, you have to wear different hats in public.
Yeah.
No one talks about that, the in public part. It's one thing to wear a different hat, in hiding, and I'm just gonna wear something real quick and cook myself your own meal. To cook a meal and present it to the public, is different. Like we're talking with a design company, and we're like, we design things like we're designers every other day, you know, and we haven't got to school for no design ever, you know. So you really have to realize that you're just gonna have to create out of thin air and make it work, and be comfortable in that thin air.
Exactly. But you know, also I think that being able to share publicly what's going on, the good and the bad, that's what helps you stand out from the crowd, and that's what sets you apart. Because I think for the past few years there was this like crazy imagination, you know, about how being an entrepreneur should look like. All these people like traveling in jet, and you know, like driving Lamborghini, and you know, making like 7-figure like business like per year, like with e-commerce and so on and so on. And some of these people, these stories are true. A lot of them are fake, but you know, we tend to be attracted to what's appealing, to it, to what it's beautiful. So they are selling us dreams, right? But I think one of the positive aspects, if I can say so, of the COVID-19 is that it has made us realize that, okay, like this bullshit, we don't need it anymore. That's okay. You know, let's ground it up now. Let's ground it up. And it has always been part of my brand and myself as a person to share my ups and downs. That's why my business was working. That's why now that I'm rebuilding my business, you know, from scratch, it's working again. There is no magic formula. I'm just being authentic. And as long as you're authentic, people will appreciate you, people will trust you, and people will do business with you because they can relate to your story and they want to support you.
Yeah, a lot of these the people who paint that false image, the fake gurus online, I saw them a lot during like the e-commerce days when I was building e-commerce businesses. They're like, how to make 100K a month on Shopify, how to do $2 million in revenue in Shopify. But their business is actually to lure in the wannabe entrepreneurs, the people who want to dabble in entrepreneurship. And then they sell them a course on how to replicate that success. And the course is usually like $4,000, $5,000, and you're selling it to like a new entrepreneur who doesn't even understand what entrepreneurship is.
Yeah.
But that's what their business model is to paint the image online of the glitz and glamour, get you in the funnel, then sell you on a course on how to do that. So it's a business of how to teach people how to run a business that is all like placated on this whole fake entrepreneurship lifestyle that doesn't even, it's not even what it is. If you were to ask a true e-commerce or true entrepreneur, hey, how did you become successful? They'll probably say, hey, it took me years and years to really
that's the
do
thing.
this. Yeah,
exactly, because probably their e-commerce like is making 100 or like 1,000 or even more $1 million a month in sale. But how did you start it? That's what we want to know. How did you get to that point? Tell us what was the process, and not what you're doing now that is generating so much revenue. But then you started like everyone else, and that's where the confusion, you know, and the is about their message is that, okay, you know, you can start and become successful right away, which it doesn't exist. It's not true. Or maybe it is, but for very, very few people on this planet. 99% of us entrepreneurs, we struggle for years before we make it happen.
That's a fact.
That's it. That's a fact. Don't search or spend your money for a magic formula, because there is no magic formula out there.
Please don't ever. I like that.
You know what's hilarious, guys, is like there's also people who they're called the fake guru police on YouTube, and their job is to call out these fake entrepreneurs and people who are tricking people to buy these courses. So it's funny how especially this year, people are just getting called out for stop promoting this glitz and glamour lifestyle that doesn't even exist. And if you're looking to get coaching, don't even bother with these guys. So it's funny how people are policing the industry now of people getting
good. I think that's a good thing. We need people like this, you know, especially for the wannabe or the youngest who, you know, are like easily like
lured in and
lured in, exactly.
manipulated. Yeah,
Manipulated, that's the word I was looking for.
manipulated.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I completely agree. And I've gone to a few trainings because, you know, with me, I have a Facebook ad agency, right? And in that, it's imperative for me to continuously educate myself. So I'm always looking at different courses and different things to do. And I've actually never bought a course. I've only been on YouTube and, you know, certified platforms. But what I've done is gone to those trainings. And man, the trainings are always the same type of thing where it's this is not easy. It's not easy. But all you have to do
is
you
this
know,
little thing.
it's just this little thing, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know, and they specifically use specific language to manipulate people into buying these courses and spending the money on it. And it's an unfortunate thing. You know, there's only a few legit guys out there that are doing well. You know, like I think Founders is a pretty legit course platform. You know, masterclass, and there's on the other end though, there's a lot of rubbish out there. You know, so let's pivot off this. You know, now that like COVID has forced you to rethink your business, you know, how are you like, approaching it now? You know, tell us about the new business that you're starting and rebuilding, and where you're going from here.
Yeah, so basically, my business model collapsed. So I came back and needed to build the business from scratch. So that's what I've been doing for the past 2 months. Now, my focus is still the same for the Smart Woman. I'm still creating courses. Now it's online courses, online programs, everything that I do, I'm shifting and online, of course, but I feel much more comfortable now rebuilding the business than when I started 2.5 years ago, because I have learned so much. And I feel kind of, yes, I lost everything. I lost everything. My revenue went from 100% to zero. But then I have learned so much from it that now I can build the business with a stronger base, right? So everything that I do now is online, and I really focus on one-on-one coaching for women leaders and providing online programs for group coaching as well. Everything about related to helping women promote themselves effectively and bring themselves effectively. And we have seen it with Jill Biden last week, I believe, that she's Dr. Jill Biden, but people were questioning her doctor status. And that's exactly why that's my why. That's my why, because when it comes to women leaders, we will always, oftentimes, society will question her ability, her credentials, her capacity to do the job. And so that's why the more I invest in women, the more I support them and help them to build their brand and promote themselves effectively, the more they can build a career and thrive. So that's really the focus of my business right now. And I think now that we all have shifted online, this is now the time to build a leadership brand for everyone. But my focus is women.
And when you're coaching your clients, what is for example, like let's say a woman leader were to come to you, what is a ongoing trend that you're seeing that they're currently struggling with during this time, that you're helping them the best way that you can? What are some common problems that you see women come to you? It might be perhaps their brand, it could be something else, but what are some things you can share with our audience, our female listeners, that you could help them with perhaps in their business and in their day-to-day life that you're noticing with these women leaders?
Yeah, so there is 3 things, like a recurring pattern. First of all is self-confidence, self-awareness, and strategy around promoting yourself. Everyone needs to promote. Everyone needs self-promotion. We all need to be strategic. We all need to build a professional brand. This is all about building our reputation, right? I like to call it our online currency. But the thing is, for women, it's even more challenging because, when you are a gentleman and you come across as confident, assertive, you use a certain language, you have a certain body language, you come across as confident. Oh, this guy, he knows, you feel
Feeling
it, right?
Yeah.
But when a woman may have the same attributes, actually, we will, like, most of the time we will call her like bossy, bitchy, and so on and so on. So what it does create, actually, it holds so many women back because they have achieved so many great things. They have built incredible career. They are like CEOs, senior, like executives of the biggest organizations or smaller organizations, but then they still don't want to put it out there because they fear the backlash. They fear the backlash from the workplace culture. They fear the backlash of the family. They fear the backlash of the society. So my role really is to provide them the tools and the resources to build self-confidence, to build this self-confidence and be aware of the value that they bring to the table. Because once you are fully aware of the value that you bring to the table, then it makes the process easier to put it out there and to showcasing what you have done. But you know, there is a difference between promoting yourself and bragging about yourself, which is another thing that is holding women back. But when you put a plan, a proper plan and a proper strategy in place, it's not about bragging. It's about, you know, sharing insights. It's about providing value to the community. It's about inspiring people and inspiring other women that, okay, if she did it, I can do it too. And a lot of them also, they want to build a legacy. They have sacrificed everything. They have, you know, they have struggled to find the right work-life balance, but still they made it. And now they are like, okay, I have done all of this, but no one knows me or no one knows about it. So how can I share with the world everything that I have accomplished and the lesson learned? So this is like something that is so much important.
You mentioned self-confidence, and that's an interesting thing that I want to bring up. Where do you see the drop off with these women? Because to reach the peak of their careers as CEOs in these organizations, I mean, it takes a lot of confidence to get there. It just doesn't happen with a snap of a finger. So during their path and their trajectory as they're rising in success, where where do they what do they say their drop off in confidence happened, where they became unsure of themselves in their career?
So it depends. So it depends of the woman's experience. You know, I know a lot of women who are very self-confident and who are accomplished leaders, and they have no issue at all, right? There are a lot of them out there. But for the woman that I'm working with, most of the time, you know, it started when they had their first child because they couldn't maybe fully commit to the job because they had other priorities, right? So this is when consciously or unconsciously, you know, the workplace, the environment, the people around them, like, make them feel or that, okay, you know, they are not maybe as good as they pretend to be, because getting the job done, or, you know, being fully committed, or, you know, going beyond expectation is not something that they could do because they have kids and they have other priorities, which is not true, by the way. You can be a great mom and you can, you know, overcommit and like be successful at work. So that's one of the aspects. The other one is they were so caught up into fighting for themselves. They were so like caught up into like proving themselves and working twice harder that they didn't get the chance to think about, okay, let me take a step back and think about, what am I doing? Is it really what I want to do? Do I feel confident about doing this? Like, how is it working? So when you are so into it, we don't listen anymore to our emotions, to our feelings, right? Because the goal is to get it done and to reach that level and that next level and that next level. So at some point in their life, like everyone else, they will just like realize, okay, hold on. I have built all of this. I was talking to a client of mine 2 days ago, and she was working like 15 years at the highest level. And after 15 years, like working across the US, being at the top level, she realized that her male colleagues were having better benefits and better pay than her.
Wow.
And that's when, you know, it struck her self-confidence. She was upset, but also she was like, wait a minute, am I doing something wrong? Why is this happening? Why, all my male colleagues are having better benefits and better bonuses and better salary, where when I'm doing the exact same thing, we have the same status, we have the same position, but I'm getting less. So there are a lot of things to take into consideration. It's not one thing or the other, but it can be also the accumulation of different things that at some point will just like be too much to handle, and then will make you question yourself and your capacity to finally make it happen or build a better career for yourself.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I find that, with the women in my life, it's usually around middle management where that starts to happen.
Yeah.
Where they got that one promotion and they're still working hard, and then life starts to get at them, where, like you said, they have that child, or they pursue their masters, or they are aiming for other things along with their career that starts to affect them, or they like take on more as a woman in their like early to mid 30s, even into their 40s sometimes, and that kind of, I guess, affect their life, and they need sometimes they need a boost to actually come over that hill. And that's where I think
I'm coming in. Yeah.
Exactly, and really provide that value for a lot of women. I know Tiffany Dufour also has like a program like that from the crew that I thought was like, wow, this is like a major thing that can impact a ton of women. So I'm curious, so what, like, I guess if you could have a short list of tangible things women can take with them from this podcast, what few things can you give them to take away when it comes to empowering themselves?
First of all, do a SWOT analysis. So usually SWOT analysis are strengths, opportunity, weaknesses, and threats for an organization. But I really like to apply it to a person. So what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are my opportunities to grow? And what are like my weaknesses? Because it all comes back to self-awareness. And it's hard to be confident and to go get it, whatever you can achieve, when you don't know in the first place what's your strengths and what's your weaknesses. And usually as women, we put a lot on our shoulders, and we don't ask for help or for support because it can be perceived as a weakness. So we tend to put everything in our plate and then we figure it out. But it doesn't have to be this way. When I talk about self-awareness, it's being aware, first of all, of your strengths and your weaknesses, because the key, it comes back also to building a strategy, is to surround yourself with people for whom strengths are your weaknesses. See what I mean? So for example, I'm very bad at accounting. I'm very bad at a lot of things. And I know my strengths. I know my weaknesses. I have a lot of them. But there are some that I can work on and improve. And there are some that it would be a waste of time, a complete waste of time. So I will surround myself with people who can just bridge the gap and help me, become even more stronger and more powerful about what I want to achieve. Then once you're able to identify your opportunities for growth, it could be investing in a program, it could be developing a new skill, it could be so many different things. And then the threats, for example, it would be mental health, being overwhelmed, being saturated, being exhausted. So once you are able to do this SWOT analysis of yourself, then it helps you to prioritize what matters and to focus on I like to call it your A task, where your genius zone is, basically what you are good at, what is your strength. You focus in so you can grow at a faster pace. And then for the rest, you strategize around it. You build a plan so you know actually when to ask for help, what to ask for, and so on and so on. So that would be the first step. It might sound like, I like to keep it simple. Everything that I usually share is quite simple, but quite effective. And that's what matters, right? So first of all, do a SWOT analysis of yourself. And it can be used like for everyone, not especially for women, but for everyone. right?
Yeah,
Then start building your reputation. I was listening to Gary Vee's one of his podcasts the other day, and he was saying how much surprised he was that a lot of people hate the term personal branding because it's like brand bragging and so on, putting yourself up front. But actually, if you think about it, personal branding, it's about building your reputation. And it's very important as a woman to build your professional reputation and to claim your online space. In today's age, if you haven't claimed your online space, you don't exist. If you don't have a personal brand that showcases who you are as a leader, people will question you. Even more now that we don't get to see people in person anymore. So basically, in order to judge yourself to see if you're a good fit for the job, if you're a good fit for my team, if you're a good leader, I will Google you. We do Google people. Everyone will Google each other. When you invited me for the podcast, I Googled you and you Googled me, probably, all right? So if what I see online doesn't match what you told me on the phone or what I saw on your resume or what I've heard about you, it creates a discrepancy, and this discrepancy creates doubt. And when there is doubt, it kills the opportunity. So start building your online reputation, your professional reputation strategically, so you become the go-to person in your industry. And this is even more important for us women, where we know the more we advance in our career, the more we are questioned.
yeah.
A lot of the women who listen to our podcast are in their, mid to late 20s. And a lot of I can say this because a lot of my female friends, they're in that position where most of them are engaged, and they're also looking to start families as they advance into the next stage of their lives. But then there's also their career driven. Our generation is very career driven.
Yeah.
We really want to make our stance. We really want to make our mark. We're more driven by experiences more than money, more than anything.
The millennials, we are the millennials.
The millennials, exactly. So for those women who are in a dilemma right now, they want to perhaps have their first child, but then they're in the middle of getting that raise or not raise, but promotion. What are some advice you can give them on managing those thoughts they're probably feeling right now, and they're debating, should I wait or should I go for it? This is the prime time of my life right now. How would you advise them to manage this very delicate time in their life?
I would suggest, and that's something that I wish someone had told me when I was in my 25, is that do what's best for you. Deep inside, we have the answer. Deep inside, we know the answer, but we are not used to listen to this inner voice. And so personally, I made the choice to focus during my 20s, to focus on building my career, which allowed me to do so many things and to reach the highest level quickly. But it doesn't mean that, but that was my objective. So what is it that you want to achieve? That's the first question that you should ask yourself. What is it that you want to achieve? And I do believe now, especially that we are working from home, that we're working remotely, I know the challenges that women with kids working from home are facing. And actually there is a leadership crisis right now, because a lot of women are planning to step down from their leadership position because they have to stay home to take care of the kids. Right? But I think it's about finding the right balance for yourself. I don't believe in the work-life balance. What does it mean? Can someone tell me what does it mean, the work-life balance, right? Because for me, it will be something, for you, it will be something else, for another person, it will be something else. But focus on your inner voice, and deep inside, you know the answer. If you think that having a child is what matters the most to you, then there will be so many other business opportunities. That's something I didn't know. Maybe I would have like my first child earlier if I knew that basically there will be business opportunities your entire life. You have options, and that's something that we are not aware of. We have options, and we have the qualifications and the competencies and the experience to like choose among the options what we want to do now and what we want to do later. When you do it later, it doesn't mean that it will never happen. It just means that for now you decide to focus on one aspect of your life, and then you can get back to the other aspect at a later time. It doesn't mean that it will be less interesting for you. It doesn't mean that it will be less fulfilling for you. It doesn't mean that you have failed, not at all. I do believe that success lies in the capacity of doing things that are in alignment with what makes you happy.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's such a great point. Like, I don't even know what to say to that.
It's left me thinking too, Alex. Like, damn.
So, working towards wrapping up, where do you see your business going the next 3 to 5 years?
How can I say that?
Actually, that might be one side to cut you out. That might be one thing COVID's actually taught us, is that 3 to 5 year thing meant like
anything.
Honestly, I just thought, I was like, God damn, like, how can I do that anymore? We can't ask that no more. I question.
But you know what? Actually, no. Let me disagree with you, because I think COVID-19 has taught us that there is no limit to what we can achieve. There is literally no limit, because with doing everything virtually now I get clients from Latin America, from Nigeria, from the US. I'm sitting here in Toronto. This is the beauty of it, honestly. And I think, yes, there are like some challenges, and we have to be able to readjust ourselves, but this is what life is about. It's all about, evolving and readjusting personally and professionally. And now I do believe that like shifting and transitioning mainly online it allows us to work, to be borderless. I don't know if we say it, but I would say it, borderless. Like, I have clients from Nigeria. Isn't it crazy? I love it. And they're like, oh, I saw you online, and I think I want to know if you can help me, and so. And they onboard with me in my programs. And the same for the ladies in Latin America. One of my clients, she's the regional chief of the DA laundering money. I don't know, something like this. I'm meeting so many incredible women that would never happen if I had stick to like doing in person or traveling in the US, in Canada, So I think like in 3 to 5 years from now, honestly, I don't know where I see my business. And I don't like to see that far, because as an entrepreneur, once again, a lot of things can change within a few weeks, within a few months, and you got to be able to adjust yourself. But yeah, I think the beauty of it is that we are more connected as human beings now, more than ever. And I really want to focus my business on this, building relationships and bringing value to people. I really want to bring as much value as I can to people.
Speaking of value, one thing you've been doing is you've been very, very active on LinkedIn with putting on 3 posts a day. Talk about how that's like worked out for you, how, the reason you've been increasing the output. What's the strategy behind going hard on LinkedIn?
Yeah, so I will show you a book, actually. You probably know it, The TEDx Rule by Grant Cardone. So yes. I would like advise every entrepreneur out there to read this book. You like the guy, you don't like the guy, that's something else. But the book is really good. And basically, it's all about, okay, we all have ambitions. We want to reach like great success. We all want to become millionaire, but we do underestimate the amount of work and actions that it takes. Mm-hmm. And that's where more business owners and most businesses fail, because they have those great objectives on papers. They have those beautiful business plans, making revenues, sales, and so on. But they oftentimes underestimate the work that is needed behind. And so one of his principles actually is to dominate the market. And what he says, and that I share and I talk a lot about on LinkedIn, is your problem. It's not competencies, it's a lack of visibility. And it comes back again, and maybe that's why it resonates so much with me, to claiming your online space and being visible in the online world. Because the more people see you, the more they will see that you are credible. If they see you here and there once in a while, okay, they won't even remember you. But if every day when you turn on your LinkedIn, you see my face, you will remember me. See what I mean?
The rule of seven.
Rule of seven, yeah.
It takes 7 times of someone seeing something for it to get locked in their head on average, and we've practiced that. Last month we were posting 3 times a day, and our reach got skyrocketed, and our podcast listen skyrocketed that month. So yeah,
it's a number game. I mean, being in business and being successful in whatever you do, it's a number game, and you don't have to be good at numbers. I'm not, but I understand numbers. So if you want to get, I don't know, 5 leads from, I don't know, LinkedIn, for example, then it means that you need to be in touch or in contact with 10 people if you have a conversion rate of 50%, and then to have, let's say, a clarity call with 10 people, potential clients. It means that your profile has to be visited, I don't know, 1,000 times. So what do you do to get those 1,000 views? That's a strategy. It's a number game. So basically, the more you post, the more people see you. It's not only about posting, it's also about engaging with people, right? Because posting for posting, it will take you nowhere. But if you take the time to post and to engage with people, first of all, who take the time to leave you a comment, but also to look at them. That's something that I love to do. For every person that leave me a comment, I love to look at their profile and to know, okay, I would ask them the question, oh, I saw that you interacted with my post. Why is that? What's the message that resonates with you? What would you like me to talk about on LinkedIn? I ask the question, right? So I'm building this community where I do believe each one of us has a place to succeed, and the more I provide value, and the more I will be successful too.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Engaging is super, super, super powerful. We've actually changed our strategy going forward. We used to post 3 times a day, and what we saw was that the reach was going high, but the engagement was starting to go down. It wasn't by a lot, but it was like a marginal percent. So going forward in this month, we actually switched it a bit. Instead of posting every day, we said, all right, let's post it once a day, but make the engagement higher. And that has skyrocketed the actual content. So right now we're working towards that balance of quantity and engagement, and I feel like that's going to be our formula that's going to take it to the next level.
And it evolves. Yeah.
Pardon me?
What did you say, Owen?
I was saying each post, we're going for the impact. It's value packed, so it can get the most engagement.
Yeah, but it comes back to the intention. I think doing business with intention, posting with intention, it's what makes the difference, right? Are you posting just to show a picture of you or your business, or are you posting with intention to share something valuable with your community? So that's what makes the difference.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's the actual value that you're getting and the interaction you're having with your audience. Most definitely. Man, it's been a pleasure having you on, honestly.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the opportunity, for having me.
My pleasure. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, the hustle is what you can't control. So control your grind and control your life. I'm Alex.
And I'm Owen.
And I'm Darine. Should I say that? And I'm Darine.
Hey, there it is. And that's hustle over everything, y'all. We out.
We out, guys. Peace.
Peace.
Yeah.